Many people in the affluent countries believe that academics do not need to stand against poverty because worldwide poverty is rapidly disappearing and there's very little left of it. This narrative is heavily promoted in the media and by wealthy supporters of the status quo.
Here is a 2018 YouTube clip featuring Bill Gates and Steven Pinker in conversation.
Well, I loved Better Angels of Our Nature. I'm even more thrilled about your next book, Enlightenment Now.
I was inspired to write it after I finished Better Angels of Our Nature, which had all of these graphs showing measures of violence and decline. And people started to write to me from disciplines that I was only dimly aware of, saying it's actually much better than you even mentioned. Hunger is declining and infant mortality.
Let us freeze the frame here and look at some facts. In 2015, the share of undernourished people acknowledged by the FAO was actually 8%. And humanity's nutritional situation is actually getting worse, not better. The incidence of undernourishment has risen to about 10% in 2021.
And the number of food insecure people has increased even more dramatically by over 1/3. This adverse trend emerged well before the COVID-19 pandemic and the invasion of Ukraine.
These gigantic nutritional deficits persist 82 years after Franklin Roosevelt's famous For Freedom speech, in which he promised that a US post-war world would secure, quote, freedom from want, which means economic understandings which will secure to every nation a healthy peacetime life for its inhabitants, end quote.
These gigantic nutritional deficits cannot be fully explained by local crises, such as armed conflicts and extreme weather events. They're overwhelmingly systemic, a consequence of how we organize our world, and in particular, the world economy.
And yet, in a sense, Roosevelt's promise was fulfilled. The gross world product has increased 17-fold in years since his speech.
This utterly unprecedented economic growth since 1941 can be decomposed into two components.
A 3.5-fold increase in the human population from 2.3 to 8 billion.
And a 5-fold rise in global per capita income from 11 to 55 international dollars. In the present world, human beings on an average can obtain about as much as $55 can presently buy in the United States.
If all segments of the human population had participated equally in economic growth, the poorest would now have at least 5 times as much as they need to survive.
Instead, 42% of the world's population cannot afford a healthy diet, whose cost per person per day, the FAO estimates, is $3.5 international dollars. Massive global economic growth has left this large segment of humanity behind.
This horrendous food situation has become even worse in the 2 years since those data were collected, as world food prices have risen by 1/3 in real terms, reaching their highest level ever.
While higher food prices benefit farmers with a surplus to sell, they have a devastating impact on the world's poor, who typically spend some 70 to 80% of their meager incomes on food.
The massive food price increases of the last 2 years are largely due to COVID and the invasion of Ukraine, including the reaction by rich countries that, to combat rising energy costs, have increased the conversion of food into biofuels such as ethanol and biodiesel.
Among the things ASAP has been doing this past year is to draw attention to the ever more critical global food situation and to advocate against increases in the US biofuel mandate. Just 1/3 of the corn that the US alone turns into ethanol could add 500 kilocalories per day to the diets of nearly 1 billion people.
Aside from this, in 2022, ASAP has inaugurated a new initiative, the Ambedkar Grants for Advancing Poverty Eradication, under the fitting acronym AGAPE. This initiative provides competitive funding and mentoring for innovative pilot projects in severe poverty eradication, selecting projects that offer strong prospects of cost-effective scale-up. AGAPE commemorates and honors Dr. B.R. Ambedkar India's great leader in poverty eradication. Initial seed funding for this initiative was generously provided by Krishan and Geeta Mehta. In its first year of operation, Agape has made 4 awards in India.
To the Sneakity Charitable Trust in Tamil Nadu for an initiative that will raise the productivity and thereby the incomes of Dalit women farmers in the rain-fed areas of Karur district. To the Kuriakose Elias Service Society, KESS, in Elanjikulam, Nadatara, Thrissur, for an initiative that will help women who have lost their jobs build a tailoring cooperative after suitable fashion design training. To Dr. Arambam Noni Mitai at Dhanamanjuri University, Imphal, Manipur, for an initiative that will enable villagers in Kwatha to market their fermented bamboo shoot product directly in Imphal, thereby capturing a larger share of the final sales price. And to the National Service Scheme Unit at Sacred Heart University and Chelanam Panchayat, for an initiative that will improve the livelihood of women by enabling them to create an enterprise for the manufacture and distribution of eco-friendly paper bags.
Agape will closely monitor and learn from these initiatives and intends to disperse another larger sum in awards in 2020. For more information on how to participate, see the Agape website.
In partnership with the Washington think tank Global Financial Integrity, ASAP has honored the winners of the 9th annual Amartya Sen Essay Prize competition. 3 equal winners were announced.
Savictor Sobechi Evans Ibe for his essay, Bombing, Billing, and Cash Out, the dynamics of illicit flow of money through international cyber fraud by Nigerian Yahoo boys.
Kenneth Mahoney for his essay, Pandemic in a Pandemic, COVID-19, Public Procurement Corruption, and Illicit Financial Flows in Sub-Saharan Africa.
And Oluebebe Ofor for his essay, The Paradox of Plenty, Collusion Between Oil Wealth and Illicit Financial Flows in Nigeria's Petroleum Sector.
The 3 winners presented their essays at the annual Yale Global Justice Conference in November and will publish polished versions of them in Journal ASAP.
And the call for the 10th annual Amartya Sen Essay Prize competition has already gone out with a deadline of 31 August 2023.
Speaking of Journal ASAP, its first issue has appeared and a second issue is in progress. We are urgently looking for contributors, people who will send us poverty-focused essays or invite other promising authors to do so, and people who will help with reviewing incoming essays and other everyday journal work.
Another opportunity is to become guest editor of a special issue of Journal ASAP. One such special issue is already in progress, a volume on child poverty edited by Thomas Bunshu. 2 other special issues are in the planning stages.
And there is more. In partnership with the Springer Publishing Company, Journal ASAP will confer 3 annual awards for poverty-focused academic work, all with nominative deadlines of 31st July 2023. An ASAP Lifetime Achievement Award for constructive work related to poverty, an ASAP Book of the Year Award for the best book on a poverty-related subject, published in 2022 and written by a single author or group of authors, and an ASAP Book of the Year Award for the best collection of poverty-related essays by different authors, published in 2022.
Eligible work may contribute to definition, description, explanation, assessment, or eradication of poverty, and attend to any of the special challenges poor people face in regard to nutrition, water, shelter, health and healthcare, sanitation, clothing and personal care, energy, education, social and political participation and respect, physical safety, family planning, environmental degradations and hazards, working conditions in employment and at home, navigating governmental agencies and the legal system, banking and credit, travel and transportation, and communications.
What else has ASAP been up to lately?
Well, there are our YouTube channels to be explored, along with ASAP's social media presence on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram.
We also have a brand new website where all the various ASAP initiatives and chapter activities are discussed, and where members can introduce themselves as well as their work and aspirations for collaboration.
And there is our ongoing work on conceiving and establishing impact rewards as innovation incentives alternative to patent-based monopoly rents. Such a domain-specific impact fund would feature fixed annual reward pools to be divided among innovations according to the social impact achieved with each. Innovations registered for such impact rewards would have to be sold at or below variable cost. An international health impact fund in the pharmaceutical sector, for instance, would create powerful new incentives to develop remedies against diseases concentrated among the poor, rapidly to provide such remedies with ample care at very low prices, and to deploy them strategically to contain, suppress, and ideally to eradicate the target disease. By promoting innovations and their diffusion together, impact funds greatly enlarge the benefits of innovation, especially to the poor, and thereby also its cost effectiveness.
An analogous idea can work in the green technology sector, boosting the development of green innovations that are especially suitable for poor populations in tropical regions, and also greatly enhancing the diffusion of existing green technologies. The idea of impact funds is being actively advocated and discussed in the context of the T7 and T20 deliberations, and a version of the Green Impact Fund has also been presented at the recent COP27 in a special event sponsored by Zambia as chair of the African Group of Negotiators.
Concluding on a more personal note, ASAP's committed long-term global coordinator, Helen Lang, has recently left us to be able to devote time to her new second child. Our new global coordinator is Ziki Nkobo in Johannesburg, South Africa, who has been working with us for some time as a volunteer for the Health Impact Fund project.
Also, Helen Yiannakopoulos has left the ASAP board after many years to have more time for her academic pursuits. We hope to add 1 or 2 new board members in the coming year.
We are deeply grateful to the 2 Helens who have been central ASAP leaders over many years and wish them much happiness and success in their future endeavors. And we welcome Ziki, who will be key to taking ASAP forward.